composed. I am actually.
Yeah, jeez.
I was like, that's
not your own.
That's well prepared.
You know what? I had to do that because I knew. Sorry to name him Alexi Gomez, but I wanted to look at his background. And he's an international player from Peru, so I'm just curious. Okay. Why hasn't he made more?
Release.
Yeah. Well,
of course.
And I did preface that, but
but Manny Lagos probably wrote that himself.
Yeah.
And that's. I knew Tony would catch me.
But how old is he? Is he 23? 24?
No, he's 25.
25.
I was going to say.
So he's still young.
Yeah, he's still young. Ish.
But wait, I talked about this before. It's like, I realize that you want to get him playing time. I realize that.
Well,
but at some point, when are you going to sit him down and say, look, you got to get smarter with what you do on the pitch, man?
And when we come to our signings, we'll get to talk about that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, We aren't inside the locker room. We don't know what's going on. But I mean, as far as you said it, minutes. He's played a lot of minutes for this team. He started most games. So what do they know that we don't? There has to be something, right?
Well, and you could argue Eric Miller's been injured, so he has to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe you hit it. Maybe you hit it on the head there. Maybe that's all there is to it.
So we'll talk about that at signings again.
Let's move on to the friendly match because the friendly. I didn't watch it. Dave, you tried to watch it.
Yeah.
But the stream was terrible.
Yeah.
And we've talked about streams before on this podcast.
I unfortunately did not get to watch that match. I was out of town traveling, working. But I going back a month ago or so, I watched the Lamar Hunt Open Cup stream versus Houston in Houston, and I think we talked about the broadcasting that the announcer could have used another guy, but I thought the stream itself was pretty good.
Yeah, I think the stream on that game was pretty solid.
So how did it compare, like video quality?
It was bad. It froze up, I would say, half a dozen times. And I'm running 160 meg service.
Yeah.
And I would say I average 130, 140. There's absolutely no reason a live stream should come through.
Yeah.
Was it done through, I know the Lamar Hunt Cup was done by USsoccer.com. Was this a different
I'm assuming
service?
It was through Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean, because they had only... I think they only had one camera.
Yeah, that's not surprising
correctly.
Because I'm sure FSN has the rights to show MLS games. But when it comes to friendlies, I don't think FSN even wants to have to show it because they're not going to get the viewership.
Right.
So, of course, United are doing themselves. They're going to only have one camera, and they're putting it on the internet. How many people were in the stands?
Oh, it was...
Because you didn't go to that game.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I saw, in my side of the stadium, it looked like I would have bet 10,000.
Okay.
I believe they announced it was 15.
Okay.
But I don't. I mean, because you're considering the fact that Major League Soccer does tickets sold or distributed.
Yeah.
So immediately all of the season ticket holders get tickets to that game.
Yep.
So that's almost 12,000 right there.
Okay.
Well,
I would bet it was probably 10.
Okay. Well, so not that I want to bring up the 3-0 defeat in Houston MLS game I'm talking about for a couple weeks ago now. But so you're trying to tell me that there was more fans at the United friendly versus Saprissa than there was at, say, the Minnesota Houston MLS game 2 weeks ago?
I bet.
Oh yes,
that's true.
Well, that's saying something then for this fan base.
Okay, we've seen Houston twice now, and both games we've watched. One was in the Open Cup.
Yep.
And then the game they had a couple weeks ago. There's nobody there.
Yeah, Houston has a terrible fan base.
Yeah.
But on top of that, it's Texas.
Yeah.
And now, I've only been to Texas once.
Yeah.
It was in April.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little early in the season, but it was still... I mean, it was like, welcome to the gate of hell.
Really?
Even in April.
I hope we don't have any Texas fans listening.
Yeah, hopefully not.
I mean, I love what I saw of the state.
Yeah.
For that week I was there.
Yep.
Fantastic scenery.
Yeah.
The drivers suck.
They are, yeah, I've heard.
The traffic itself overall sucks.
I heard that too. Yeah.
There are, 10 King Cab dually pickup trucks to every car.
Are there any Prius? Does anybody drive a Prius down there?
I would highly doubt that.
And where have you been? If we're talking a city here.
So I was Dallas and Austin.
Okay. Over the years, I've spent a little bit of time. I have a good friend that lived in Houston for a couple years, so I've seen some of Houston. I've driven through Dallas. I've been around a little bit, but I tell you what, the place I've spent the most time in Texas was the Panhandle.
Okay.
Now, if you want excitement, go to the Panhandle of Texas.
Well, because that's right by Oklahoma, right?
It's right by nothing, basically.
Okay.
So like Amarillo?
Yeah, Amarillo.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I've been through Amarillo.
Okay. Yep. I've driven through there. I've stopped at.
Okay.
Well,
I like your shirt.
We're losing our audience.
Going to the game tonight, so.
Oh, all right.
We'll see. We're in our usual seats. So
Go Loons. Thanks for stopping out. We appreciate it. That's awesome.
All right. All right, guys. I think it's time to take a little short beer break. Get some extra beers in us, and we'll be back. So we've gotten our beers. We have finished up our samples. And what do you guys think of all the flight?
So I'll be honest. I was not a fan of the. It would be the blonde.
Oh, the blonde?
Like
Really?
I'm usually a blonde fan.
That's what I'm drinking right now. It's good.
But yeah, it was still a little bit too hoppy.
Really?
Like a lot of the blondes I like are a little bit subdued.
Yeah.
And there's a blonde that in Colorado that by Ska Brewery that is actually available here.
Okay.
That's really smooth drinking. Like if you're a lager guy,
sure,
that blonde's fantastic. This was a little bit too hoppy.
I will mention again, we're at Invictus up in Blaine. They are located right across the street from the National Sports Center. Like I stated previously in our opening, where the Loons used to play when they were back in the US. What was the league they were in? It was
NASL.
The NASL.
It was NASL, but in 20. Well, yeah, the Loons didn't exist before.
The Loons didn't exist.
So it was the NSL. Yeah.
And I mean, I've been coming up here for years. Back when they were before they were
Stars and
the
the
Stars.
Thunder.
Yeah, we came here for what was it against? Was it the Galaxy?
Oh, that would have been
that
we
was
were
at the
in high
Metro.
school.
That was in high school. Yeah, we came
That
up
was
here
at the
for-
Metro.
No, there was one here.
Oh,
had a
they
Galaxy
played them
game.
twice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So what was going on? Dave and I think Johnny, was it three of us?
Yeah.
Little backstory: I worked at Tires Plus as an intern back in high school, and they had something up here where we got tickets, and they had a little tent and everything, and they're playing the LA Galaxy, and also the Schwann's Cup was going on at the same time, so they had a bunch of kids up here. We went, and then we found an underground arcade area.
Yeah, because I mean, just a little backstory is we're talking well over, or not, I shouldn't say well over, about 20 years ago.
1997.
We weren't the biggest soccer fans at that point.
No.
I think it was 1998 for me that put soccer on the map.
Yeah.
But so we weren't the biggest soccer fans at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a bit distracted.
Yeah, we did. We found this underground arcade over here.
Really?
It was weird. We were walking. Me and Dave were walking. We left Johnny by himself. We're walking around because Johnny was he's been a soccer fan since I've known him. So he didn't want to leave with us. So we're walking around trying to find stuff, and all of a sudden we go in this building, go downstairs, and there's all these kids from the Schwann's Cup, and there's arcade games, and there's
oh, weird.
It was weird. It was kind of like a little wonderland of things going on.
Obviously, in '90s.
Yeah, it was 97. Yeah. So I mean, so like I said, we've been coming up here for years, and a lot of things have changed around here. They're building more soccer fields right over here, just west of Invictus. They're building more soccer fields for National Sports Center. They're redoing all these roads. They have roundabouts now, and they're really doing a lot of great things up here. Invictus is here along with Tipsy Steer, which is in the same building. They're two different companies, but so Invictus got all the beer, Tipsy Steer has all the food, and I've wanted to come up to Tipsy Steer ever since they opened up here. My sister-in-law especially wants to come up here because she's a big foodie. Looks like we're looking at their menu right now. They have some.
I think the biggest problem you'd have is choosing what to get.
Yeah, exactly. They have pizzas, they have burgers, tacos, they have sausages for Pete's sake. They have German bratwurst, and I know for a fact, Johnny and his kids have been here.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you, I'm sure Johnny has had the German bratwurst.
I don't think he could get off that. If he saw
that, he'd be like,
bet money that
yeah.
The odds probably aren't very good
and
for that bet.
On top of that, they have something called a Psycho Milkshake, which now the people who are watching our podcast, they got them.
Yeah.
And so they had the chocolate M80. It's a milkshake with chocolate sauce, a brownie, whipped cream, and star sprinkles. So they give you a milkshake, and then they stick a brownie, kind of like what you call it, a
Bloody Mary.
A Bloody Mary.
Crap out of it. Yeah.
But it's like they put stuff in their milkshakes.
It was two desserts, I think.
Yeah,
I think
so.
I think you could eat the brownie and be happy with that and be done. But then you got a milkshake.
Yeah, and if you get the vanilla one, you get a sugar cookie on top of that. That's like that right there. I would be.
I could run over and get us a couple.
No, I don't need the sugar today.
Okay.
It might be too much sugar for me.
I'm trying to stay healthy.
Fair enough.
Dave just turned 39.
Yes.
I turned 39 in about a week and a half.
God, you guys are old.
I know.
We're very old.
I've got about 355 days left of my 30s. So
yeah. And our friend Nels, who's been on the podcast before, he turns 40 when we're on our cruise to Seattle. Adam Carolla cruise. So he turns 40 the day we're going to be in Canada. So when you're talking about sugar like in this, when you get to our age, a little too much.
Yeah.
I'll take my sugar out of the beer that we're drinking.
If Adam Carolla wasn't part of that, I would say I don't know that I'd pick Canada to celebrate my 40th.
No, and it's just it just happened to be that's when it was.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I think we would have if we were still in town, I think we would have had a big party for Nels somewhere.
Oh, for sure.
But it just happened to be he's turning 40 when we're on the cruise.
Yeah,
which is great.
That's a good point, Dave. Like as far as a cruise out of Seattle to Victoria, British Columbia, it doesn't jump out at you. And in fact, this will be my 8th cruise. I'm a huge fan of cruise vacations. Tony, you haven't been on one.
I've been on a cruise.
And I gotta admit, like when I think of a cruise, I think of the Caribbean, the Bahamas. That's what I think of. So. But honestly, they could cruise anywhere. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's the Corolla experience.
Corolla's done cruises down through like Mexico and stuff before. We just never hopped on it. When this one came up and it was going out of Seattle, I think both you and I and Nels were like, we got to go on this cruise.
And honestly, that's kind of great that we brought this up because I mean, Adam Carolla is kind of the reason that I wanted to jump into this with you guys, at least be a small part of it, because I mean, I think what he's done for podcasting is why we're sitting here.
Yeah,
quite
exactly
frankly.
right, exactly.
I didn't actually start listening to his podcast until Tony, you brought it up.
Yeah.
When you brought up the idea, which apparently was not necessarily a serious idea, this podcast.
It was a one-off. A little backstory on how this podcast came to be. We were at Johnny's fiance's house, Jenny, for his birthday party. Yeah. Birthday party. She put on a phenomenal birthday party. It was a state fair theme thing. Johnny's state fair guy.
We still have that magnet too.
The magnet. We're all standing in her basement, and Dave Sterling's there, and we're all just standing. And I brought up the fact, I'm like, Sterling, you're a big soccer guy. I kind of want to get in the podcast. We should do a soccer podcast. Just out of the blue. I didn't even think anything of it. I thought it was just good, whatever.
There might have been alcohol.
It's something you say to somebody.
It's something you say, right?
But it never actually
And then
happens.
all of a sudden, like a week or two later, Sterling's texting me going, I think we should do that. And I'm going, do what? What are you talking about? At first I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the podcast. I'm like, oh, the thing I brought up at the thing? He's like, yeah. And I'm going, I guess. So we met up at the Colada in Maple Grove and had a little chat and decided, hey, let's do this. And like everything in life, I think you kind of go into it with a little bit of a it could work for a little bit. It could we could flame out, we could suck,
right?
We could have a terrible dynamic. I mean, I'm not I've only known you for a couple years,
right?
But we could have a terrible dynamic on the podcast, right? It would totally suck. But the first podcast we did, that we tried to go to Omni, and then we tried to go to Blue Wolf, and then we ended up at your basement.
Right.
I thought for sure, I was like, this isn't going to work, because we tried 2 places, and it's not going to work. We do it in your basement, and we start talking and drinking, and all of a sudden I'm like, I think this could work.
Right.
And then Dave Stevens came to one of them, and he started spouting off